Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Chee-Tash. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about Chapter 7 from Motor City Drama, Behind the Scenes Building the Big Three with Ford, Durant, and Chrysler by Russell Lee Durant. And today we're talking about Billy Durant, that is, being ousted again from GM. Oh, Billy. Oh, Billy, what are you doing, man? He already got forced out once before. We talked about this a few episodes ago, where a voting trust was established by the terms of a loan that he received from some big banks in order to save him, get him out from drowning in debt. But again, the banking conglomerate said, hey, if we're going to do this, you can't have the operational control that you used to have. And we're going to establish a voting trust where you just have one vote out of five, and we can outvote you on certain things that happen at GM. And Billy doesn't like that. He goes off. He starts a company with Louis Chevrolet Motor Company. And eventually Chevrolet buys up a controlling stake in GM through a share buyback, trading in, I think it was 5 shares of Chevrolet for 1 share of GM, I believe it was. And in the end, Billy returns back with the help of his friend Pierre Dupont. And Dupont puts Billy kind of back in charge at GM. And I wrote a blog post on this as well. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description to that. But now, no, Billy is he's going to be out for good now. So in 1917, some things are changing. All right, World War I is going on. We saw how the Dodge brothers were contracted out to supply things for the war. Dramatic financial changes. You know, the country's going through a little bit of a tough time. And GM stock drops from $200 to $75. Whew. Huge drop. I mean, you're talking about more than 50% there. Jeez. And Billy Durant tries to buy up the stock in order to kind of shore up the company, thinking that he would recover his losses when the market returned back to normal. So he buys up the stocks, but he buys them on margin, which basically means that he takes out a loan to buy them. Now, the market ends up not recovering. So what ends up happening is a margin call. So wherever he got the loan from, they do a call on it. I'm not exactly 100% familiar on this process, but essentially margin call is like, okay, it's time to pay us back. Now, the market dipped, right? It did not recover, right? So now you owe more money. So you borrowed money and then lost more money by investing that borrowed money. So what ends up happening is Pierre Dupont, again, one of the guys that was helping Billy Durant buy up shares in GM, ends up being put on the board at GM. He comes in and he saves the company a little bit. And he buys up large shares in GM. And Russell writes here that he clearly tells Billy not to buy on margin again. But does Billy listen? Not really, because in 1920, another recession happens. And Billy makes the same mistake again. Same mistake again. And Russell kind of outlines a little bit of a conversation that Billy and Dupont have, where he calls Billy into his office and he says, Billy, you have made a mess of your investments again. There's no excuse for it a second time. If it becomes public that you lost so much, the publicity will be devastating for GM and weaken our stock. For this reason, we have decided to bail you out one last time. We are prepared to buy your remaining GM stock for $30 million with one stipulation. You will resign completely from GM. I know you built this company yourself, and I wish there was another way, but there isn't. Unfortunately, you brought it on yourself. And Billy is very quiet, defeated. I totally understand. I was sure this downturn was going to be a short one, and I would recover my money. Look, you are doing what you have to. Don't worry about me. I'll bounce back. What an attitude to have. So, 1 week short of his 59th birthday, he resigns from the company. He never gets to occupy this brand new building that they're building in, I think it was downtown Detroit. They were going to call it the Durant building, but he's not there for it. So they just rename it the General Motors building. I think even at one point they were going to have like a big D in like one of the corners of the building. I don't think they did that anymore. I don't think they ended up doing that since Billy left. But Billy ends up being okay. He goes on to found Durant Motors within a month of leaving GM. Just got a ton of entrepreneurial spirit. He is able to raise $5 million issuing stock in his new company. And he's going to end up being okay, I think. I don't think this is going to be the last that we hear about Billy. I'll say that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But there's also changes at GM. And Pierre Dupont heads GM. But he steps down in 1923, and to take his place is this gentleman, Alfred Sloan, who's going to be at GM for quite a while. He's promoted to president and then later chairman in 1937. And Alfred Sloan brings about a ton of changes to GM, ton of changes in some organizational control. He really decentralizes everything and makes people report to other people instead of directly to him, which is kind of the way that it sounds like Billy was doing things, according to Russell. Russell writes, Sloan's management structure became the model for corporations for years. He eventually grew GM into the world's largest corporation. All just from this changing the way that the company was structured and organized. Again, decentralized management. You got people coming to one person to be the final decision maker. No. We're going to split everybody up into these departments. You listen to your department heads, and things don't always come back up to the guy who's highest on the totem pole to make the decisions because, hey, that's way too many decisions. There's a lot of other stuff going on. There's other people that have their hands on in the company that can better make decisions for the company. You know, it doesn't all have to be just one single person all the time. And Russell writes, Sloan was a highly talented organizer and builder, but without Billy Durant's entrepreneurial efforts, there would have been nothing for him to organize and build. Very fair point. Very fair point. You need both. You need a little bit of both. You need the risks that Billy took to get GM to where it was at. And then also you need the kind of conservative, organizational retooling that Alfred Sloan brought as well. You need a little bit of both. Guys, that's going to do it. This was a very short chapter that Russell had. Tune in next time. We're going to be talking about Walter Chrysler. I'm going to circle back to that fellow again. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any comments, questions down below. Follow me on Twitter. I am on Twitter now. And that's going to do it again, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Chris. This has been Chee-Tash. Take care.